Hello everyone. In our previous lesson, we learned how to change the subject of a formula from its present subject to another variable present in the formula. In today's lesson, we will learn how to apply subject of formula in calculations. One major application of subject of formula is to find the value of an unknown variable in the formula, provided the values of other variable is given. The PDF note for this video is available for download in the description section below. I will go ahead now to illustrate how to apply the subject of formula with the following examples. Number 1. Given that C is equal to 2 pi r, this formula represents the formula for the circumference of a circle. A. Make r the subject. Then B, find r. In other words, r here is the unknown variable. When C, so C is given as 44 centimeter and pi is given as 22/7. Now, from the formula C equals to 2 pi r, our target is letter r. We're trying to make letter r the subject, and you see the letter r is multiplied to 2 pi. Remember what we said in the previous video on subject of formula. So what you do here, since r is multiplying 2 pi, we do the opposite operation of multiplication, which is division. So we divide both sides by 2 pi to eliminate this 2 pi beside r. We divide both sides by 2 pi. So if you divide this by 2 pi, divide this by 2 pi. The 2 pi here will cancel. So if I divide this by 2 pi, the 2 pi here will cancel this 2 pi. And I also divide this by 2 pi. So I'm going to have r is equal to C over 2 pi. R is equal to C over 2 pi. So now R is the subject of the formula. We can now make a substitution. Now we're given that C is equal to 44. So put 44 in place of C. 44 in place of C divided by 2 pi. 2, this is the 2 times pi. Pi again is 22/7. So we have 44 divided by 2 times 22/7. 22 times 2 will give us 44. But before then, this division becomes multiplication. So division becomes multiplication. And when that happens, your numerator comes down and your denominator goes up. So 7 goes up and 2 times 22, which is 44, comes down. So 44 here will divide 44. So we're left with 7. Therefore, r will be equal to 7 centimeter. Number 2, find the value of x squared y minus xy squared if x is equal to 5 and y equals to 3. Here, we are going to make direct substitution. 5 in place of x and 3 in place of y. So 5 in place of this x, that will give us 5 squared. And 3 in place of y, that will be times 3. 5 in place of x, that will be 5. 3 in place of y, that will be 3 squared. So 5 squared is 25. 25 times 3 minus 5 times 3 squared. 3 squared will give you 9. So you have 5 times 9. 25 times 3 will give you 75. 75. 5 times 9 is 45. 75 minus 45 will give us 30. Example 3. Given that h squared is equal to a squared plus b squared, make b the subject. B. Find b when h is 10 centimeter and a is 8 centimeter. Again, the present we are to make b the subject. The formula again is h squared equal to a squared plus b squared. Now to make this be the subject, look at where my subject is, and my subject here now is added to this term. So whenever your subject is added to or is being subtracted from a term, what you do is to remove that subject. To move the subject, we transfer it to the other side, or I can just say subtract a squared from both sides. So if I subtract a squared from both sides, this will become, I'll be left with b squared here. So b squared will be equal to h squared minus a squared. So we have b squared is equal to h squared minus a squared. That's if we take this over to this side. Now, b is not yet our subject because there's still a power of 2. So what we do to eliminate this 2, we will take the square root of both sides. Remember, I told you in the last video on subject of formula, the inverse operation of power is root. So to remove this power, we do square root of both sides. So if I square root both sides, the square root here we'll take off the square on top of the b. So we'll have b is equal to square root of h squared minus a squared. Please note you cannot do square root of this equal to h minus a. The square root here cannot cancel these two. The square root here cannot cancel these two. Why? Because of this subtraction sign in between them. So please take note of that, as I always have some of my students do. So b is equal to square root of h squared minus a squared. So now we have b as our subject. The next thing is to find what will be the value of b when the value of h is 10 and the value of a is 8. So put 10 in place of h and put 8 in place of a. So if we put 10 in place of h, that will be 10 squared. If we put 8 in place of a, that will be 8 squared. 10 squared is 100, 8 squared is 64. 100 minus 64 will give us 36, and square root of 36 will give us 6 centimeter. Question number 4. Given that s is equal to ut plus half at squared, find a in meter per second square when s, so we're looking for the value of a when s is 40 meters and u is 2 meters per second and t is 5 seconds. So the first thing we will do here is to make a the subject of this formula. The present subject is s, so make a the subject, and look at where the a is. The a is in this term, half at squared, and this term is added to this. So what do I do? The first thing is to move this ut, this term ut, move it over to the left. So I'm going to have x minus, because it's a positive value here, once it comes here, it becomes a negative value, s minus ut equals half at squared. We'll be left with half at squared on the right. Now look at, now my subject is involved in a fraction. Do you remember from our previous video that whenever your subject is involved in a fraction such that you have a single fraction on the left and right, what you do is cross multiply. So I will cross multiply the 2 we go to the left to multiply this expression. S is equal to s minus ut. So I'm going to have 2 in bracket. S minus ut is equal to at squared, is equal to, because 1 times a times t squared is at squared. We're not done yet, we're gradually getting there. So look at my subject, don't forget our subject is a. We're trying to make a the subject. Now look at the a again. The a is multiplying t squared. What is the inverse operation of multiplication? Division. Very good. So we divide both sides by t squared. So divide both sides by t squared. So if I divide this by t squared, the t squared will divide this away. Then this will also be divided by t squared. So we'll have a is equal to 2 into bracket s minus ut over t squared. Now that a is our subject, we can now find the value of a by substituting the value for the respective the other variables s, u, and t. So we are given that s is 40, so put 40 in position of s minus u. U is 2, so put 2 in position of u, times t. T is 5, so 5 in the place of t, divided by t squared. T again is 5, so that's 5 squared. So here you end up having 40 minus 2 times 5 is 10. That will give you 40 minus 10. And 40 minus 10 is 30. 30 times 2 will give us 60 on our numerator. Divided by 5 squared is 25. So 60 over 25 will give us 2.4 meter per second squared. So the value of our acceleration given those values will be 2.54 meter per second squared. So question number 5, we're given that 1 over f equals 1 over u plus 1 over v. Excuse me, we are to make u the subject. B, find u when f is 10 and v is 8. Now, our objective is to first make u the subject. And look at where my u is. My u is here, present in this term. And this term is added to this term. So how do I remove this term? Very good, we subtract. So we take this term over to the other side. That will become 1 over f minus 1 over v equals 1 over u. Now look at my subject of formula, my subject u is involved in a fraction. But remember what I told you in the previous video. You have 2 fractions here, so we cannot cross multiply at this point. What we will do first is to combine these 2 fractions into a single fraction. Always bear that in mind, that you can only cross multiply when you have a single fraction on the left and on the right. So here we have 2 fractions on the left. We'll combine them together by doing LCM. So LCM of f and v is fv. FV. Now that will give you FV. Now if F divide FV, we'll be left with V. So this V times 1 will give you V. Again, if FV is divided by V, we'll be left with F. The F multiplied by this one will give us F. So we have V minus F over VF equals 1 over U, equals 1 over U. Now, what do we do now? Look at our U here now. My U now is involved in a fraction. Now I have a single fraction on the left and a single fraction on the right, left and right. So what I can do now is cross multiply. So if I cross multiply, I will have U into brackets, that's U with times, I will have U into brackets, V minus F equal to VF times 1. That will still give me VF. Now look at my subject. My subject is multiplying this expression. So what do? I will divide away the expression. So to eliminate this, divide both sides by V minus F. So if this cancels this, our U will be equal to VF all over V minus F. Our U will be VF all over V minus F. Now that U is the subject, we can now answer question B, 5B. Find the value of the U when F is 10 and V is 8. So 10 in place of F and 8 in place of V. So 8 in place of V, that will be 8 times 10. That's 10 in place of F, that will be 8 times 10 all over 8 again in place of V here, minus 10 equals to U. That will give us 80 over minus 2. 80 over minus 2 will give us minus 40. So I'm going to have my U will be equal to minus 40 centimeter. So the value for U will be minus 40 centimeter. Alright, that will be all for today. Now why don't you go ahead now and pause the video and then attempt to solve these questions on your own. Now for number 1, you should arrive at minus 2.5 meter per second as your answer. For number 2, you have to make V the subject. Thereafter, find the value of V when F is 20 and U is 15. Your final answer for that should be minus 60. And for number 3, you have to make R the subject and also find the value of R when G is 50, M is 15, and F is 100. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Meanwhile, please endeavor to like the video, subscribe, and then press the notification button so that you can be notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you, and see you in the next class.